This is the story of a rescue pilot and her fight to save her little brother. It's about daring to face impossible odds, and most importantly, never giving up on hope. Hope, it's the key to facing the darkest hours. Our story begins in the distant future where humanity has spread across the stars. But not all sectors are created equal. One sector in particular, known as Sector 9, was feared throughout the galaxy. It was dubbed the Graveyard. Any ship that entered and didn't come back out soon became nothing more than a scary tale told to young cadets at navigation school. Not just a cautionary tale, but an outright warning. It was considered cursed. What went in did not come out. Then the unthinkable happened. A research vessel named the Voyager, carrying a crew of young explorers and a scientist, went missing while studying a newly discovered anomaly in Sector 9. Alien scientists, some of whom had been studying the sector for decades, threw up their hands and claimed it was hopeless. There was too much gravitational interference, weird spatial rifts, and a smattering of black holes, not to mention the anomalies themselves. No ship or probe had ever been able to escape its grasp. So when the Voyager disappeared, everybody assumed it was too late. Everybody except one person. Her name was Imani Dale. She was a rescue pilot, and the best one Earth had. Her record was unparalleled. When she managed to land a ship on a rogue comet, and another time she rescued a crew from a sun that was going supernova. She never left anyone behind. And when her own younger brother Jace was reported missing, she wasn't about to start now. Sure, she was going against the advice of the Council and dozens of so-called experts, but saving people was her job. "I'm bringing them home," she announced, startling her friends and crewmates. Old rivalries were forgotten as Imani assembled a ragtag team of the most skilled pilots and engineers. There was Pax, a Martian artificial intelligence. His positronic brain could analyze complex systems and solve problems quicker than any human. Next was Zev Belaris, a former pirate captain and smuggler who preferred the term space trucker. He was a hotshot pilot with a questionable past and an uncanny knack for getting out of tight spots. And finally, there was Eliana Reyes, an expert navigator and cartographer. She understood the galaxy like a spider understands. A web and could plot courses through the most treacherous sectors without breaking a sweat. Together, they designed and built the Aurora, a rescue ship powered by a gigantic heart of plasma and lined with a hull of hope. It was outfitted with state-of-the-art sensors, cutting-edge navigation systems, and an arsenal of experimental weapons, none of which were as important as the nursery rhyme decoder that Imani spent weeks reverse engineering. You see, when the Voyager first entered Sector 9, it sent out a series of coded messages hidden inside popular nursery rhymes. Only Imani, who used to sing them to her little brother, realized what they were. And the lyrics contained crucial information about their location and status. They dove into the graveyard, chasing ghost signals through swirling gravity storms and dodging dangerous spatial rifts. The ship shook, and alarms howled as Pax rerouted power through old Earth music, calming the crew with familiar songs. Days passed, and then weeks. There was nothing, only shadows and distant flashes. Just when their hope began to dwindle, they found it. The Voyager was trapped near a spinning singularity, barely clinging to life. On board, Jace and his friends clung to life, rationing air and light. But their ship was damaged and their supplies were dwindling fast. They sent out coded signals written in nursery rhymes, hoping that someone, anyone, would find them. And just when their hope began to dwindle, they heard a transmission. "We read you loud and clear, Voyager. Hold on, help is on the way." The Aurora tore through the graveyard, dancing around the black hole, fighting to hold orbit. The rescue attempt was complicated by the fact that the area around the black hole was littered with debris, chunks of metal, and rock left over from countless ships that had fallen victim to its gravity. Plus, the crew was running out of time. As the Aurora approached the wreckage, Pax hacked gravity wells to create a safe passage, while Zev wove and bobbed through the debris field, trying to keep the ship stable. Suddenly, an asteroid the size of a mountain loomed out of the darkness and headed straight for them. "Brace for impact," Imani yelled. She wrestled with the controls as the Aurora screamed in protest. They hit the asteroid at full speed, sending sparks flying and alarms blaring. The ship lurched violently, throwing the crew off their feet, but miraculously, it held together. Inside the Voyager, Jace and the others watched as the Aurora fought its way closer. One of the escape pods was knocked loose and drifted dangerously close to the black hole. "Tether it," someone shouted. "I got it." Imani maneuvered the Aurora into position and fired a grappling hook. The line shot out and wrapped itself around the pod, just as it started to drift away. Relief flooded through the crew as they slowly pulled the pod back towards the main ship, but it was short-lived. With one escape pod secured, they turned their attention to the others. But one of the lines snapped, sending the second pod hurtling towards the black hole. "Imani, we have an emergency," came the voice of one of the astronauts from the doomed pod. "Our oxygen is leaking. We won't make it." Fear twisted Imani's gut, but she pushed it down and focused on the task at hand. This was the moment she had trained for. She knew what was at stake. And no matter how dangerous things got, she wasn't about to give up. She struggled to bring the Aurora closer, fighting against the black hole's relentless pull. She had to get close enough to attach a tether, but not so close that she risked being pulled in herself. Finally, with a deep breath, she let the ship drift forward. She locked onto the pod with the docking clamps and hit the button. The two vehicles shuddered as they locked together. Then, slowly, very slowly, she began to pull away. But the black hole wasn't done with them yet. With the pod secured, they turned their attention to the remaining two astronauts. But the tether snapped, sending the third pod spiraling towards the black hole. "Can't reach them," someone shouted, their voice tight with worry. "It's too far. There's nothing we can do." But Imani wasn't about to accept defeat. She knew there was still a chance, however slim, that they could make it. So she did something reckless. She moved the Aurora closer to the black hole, right into its deadly embrace. The ship bucked and swayed as the black hole's gravity tore at it, but Imani held firm. She was betting everything on this, her skills, her ship, and her knowledge of the sector. The black hole was about to consume the third pod. Now or never. She moved the Aurora into position and hit the button. The two ships connected, forming a single unit. Then she activated the long-range beacon, blasting a signal into the void. Back at base, the Council watched in disbelief as the Aurora emerged from the black hole, battered but intact. Behind them, the remains of the Voyagers slowly drifted away, consumed by the darkness. Cheers erupted as the rescuees were brought aboard the Aurora. Jace and the others were shaken but alive. And as they embraced their rescuers, they couldn't help but feel a sense of awe. They had stared death in the face and emerged victorious. The Council was stunned. No one had ever returned from Sector 9, not until now. From that day on, lost ships throughout the sector listened for the distinctive call sign of the Aurora, knowing that somewhere out there, humanity was coming to rescue them. And as long as there were explorers and those who would risk everything to bring them home, there would always be light in the dark. And somewhere, the Aurora flies still, bringing hope to every corner of the galaxy and proving again, humanity never leaves anyone behind.